Welcome. So this is a core focus class. So in this case, we're going to be strengthening our abdominals, so front around to the sides. And so we'll be doing that laying on our back for part of the time and then also on our elbow on our sides. And I'll give modifications as always. You'll need a small cushion, so nothing too big, otherwise it becomes unmanageable. You could also use a folded towel if you don't have a small cushion, or another alternative is the Pilates ball slightly deflated. I'll be demonstrating with the cushion, but you can use any of those. So let's get started. We're going to come down onto our backs to begin. We can leave the prop out to the side for now. So in whichever way, coming down onto your back, starting to feel the ground underneath you. And once we're there, we're going to hug the left knee into the chest and extend the right leg down the mat. So let that right leg rest heavy into the floor, pulling this left knee in towards you to wherever is comfortable, taking a nice long inhale. And with your exhale, seeing if we can allow this left hip to soften. Let's take another long breath in. And with your exhale, allowing your body to just melt into the ground. And then allowing or guiding your hip into a little bit of or your leg into a circle here. So we're holding on to the front just below the knee and just guiding the hip into a circle in one direction. So just working within your comfortable range of motion. And really we're isolating it to the hip joint here as we warm things up. So if you're noticing your full body kind of swaying around, see if you can make it a little more controlled. Now we're gonna switch directions. You can also hold on to behind the knee if holding on in the front of the shin is not comfortable. So a few more circles here. Noticing the breath. Other leg still stays nice and heavy. Last circle. And then back to center, taking a breath in. And then softening with your exhale. Placing that foot back on the ground. Hugging the right knee into your chest. And extending that left leg. Letting it contact the floor as much as possible. We're taking a nice breath in here. And seeing if we can soften the front of this right hip as we exhale. Another deep breath in. This time adding the relaxation of the body into the grounds. Once that breath is fully out, we're going to start to guide this side into a little circle. So it's the thigh bone that's moving, but we're guiding it with our hands. And keeping it, like we did on the other side, isolated to the hip joint. Finding your breath here. Let's switch directions, breathing in and breathing out. Again, working within your comfortable range of motion. We'll just take it around one more time. And then coming back to center. I actually missed something on the other side. So we'll do it on this side first. We're gonna grab onto the back of the right thigh and just letting the weight of your leg rest into your hands, pointing your ankle as you stretch the back of the leg, and then flexing the foot and ankle as you bend the knee. So straightening the leg, pointing the foot and ankle, bending and flexing the ankle. So let's go for 3. So really lengthening out the back of the leg for 2. Toes to shin on the way down. Last one. And we'll place that foot down. So we'll go back to the other side for a moment, hugging the left knee into the chest, extending the right leg, grabbing onto the back of the thigh. And we'll point the foot on this side, stretching the leg up to the ceiling. And then toes towards the shin as we drop the heel. So breathing in, breathing out. Try to keep a little bit of a gap between your lower back and the floor. Last one here. And then we can place the foot on the ground. We'll bend both knees for a moment. Just a few pelvic tilts to set our neutral position. So as you breathe in, let the pelvis tip forward so you're going onto the tailbone. And then as you exhale, bringing the lower back to the floor. So inhaling, creating this space between your lower back and the floor. Exhaling, closing off that space. One more time. Breathing in to go forward. Breathing out to come into your imprint. And then let's go forward one more time. And this time we're going to find neutral instead of that imprint. So we've got a little space between the lower back and the floor. Pelvis feels nice and level. Then you're going to extend. So keeping neutral, extend your right leg down the mat. And then especially as you extend the other leg down the mat, try to keep that neutral position. Hands are going to come behind the head. And we're going to go into our first abdominal exercise. You should see your elbows out of the corners of your eyes. So breathing in, we're going to start to lift our head and shoulders, lifting the left leg. Exhale, reach up the leg. Inhale, hands behind the head. Exhale, lower back down. So other side, we inhale, lift. Exhale, reach up the leg as much as you can. Inhale, center. Exhale, lower. So we'll keep going, alternating sides, reaching with that exhale as far up the leg as you can. Hands behind the head. We lower with control. Breathing in and out. In and out. So we're trying to extend that leg as much as we can. An option here, if you need to keep one hand behind your head, you can reach with one arm up your leg, then bring the hand back and then lower. So keep going at your own pace. And every time we're lowering down with control. So rather than going really quickly and kind of losing our form, we're taking our time. Breathing in to lift, out to reach, in to center, and out to lower. Keep going as you are, or you can join me for, well, actually we'll do one more on each side, just as we were, and then we're gonna go up a level if we're able to. So we'll keep going. This time we'll do the one leg. Bring the hands behind the head. Bring the other leg up, reach up that side, hands behind the head. First leg goes down, second leg goes down, head comes down. Let's start with the right leg first this time. So we inhale, lift, exhale, reach, inhale, center, second leg comes up, we reach up that leg, center, first leg comes down, second leg comes down, head and shoulders come down. If that's too much, you can continue with the original version of doing one leg and then lowering and then coming up for the second side. So we'll start with the next time you come up, start with the left side again, and we'll do 2 more. That's it. Last one. Reach, reach, reach. Lower with control. All right. We can bend the knees. We're going to move onto one side, pressing ourselves up. And this is where the prop comes in. So you can take the ball or the cushion or the towel. We'll be down on our elbow, whichever side that you're on. Elbow right underneath the shoulder, and then the prop will go between the knees. And we'll slide the knees back a little bit. So they're going to be not quite aligned with the hip, but they're going to be close rather than being far forward on your mat. All right. So we're going to make sure that we're not resting into the elbow here. So we're going to lift ourselves up, bring the weight onto our pelvis. So I'll show you one more time. So rather than being into the shoulder here, we're going to take our weight into the hips so that we've found length on this top side. So this exercise can be done from here. So you can stay here and we're going to be holding, and then at one point we're going to dip down and then come back to a hold. Otherwise, you can also do it with your hips lifted. So you're either staying here or you're coming up with me. And the first part is just holding here, making sure you're breathing. You can look or feel to see if your hips are stacked one on top of the other. And then we're actively lifting this side, bottom side, away from the floor. And we're going to come into our first dip. So whether your hips are up or down, we're going to dip down to the floor. So you're going to feel like the bottom side almost stretching. And then we're going to come back into this even position on both sides. Giving it another hold. And then we're going to dip down and then come back up. So again, whether your hips are up or down, we're now in this evenly lengthened position on both sides as we hold. We're going to dip down one more time and hold one more time. We're breathing here, actively lifting up from the floor. 3, 2, 1, and down. We're going to come off the elbow, support our head on the ground, bring the prop forward and take your top knee on top of the prop. Your knee is going to be in line with your hip. So nice straight line, knee to hip. And bottom leg is going to be fully extended. So this is going to be an inner thigh exercise. So we want to start with that bottom leg fully extended. And the toes pointing forward, so your foot is nice and flat as if it was resting on a wall. And then we're going to find, however we can here, a lift from our bottom waist, or engagement of our bottom waist away from the floor, so that we're not in this scrunched up position here. We found length through this side. All right, keeping that length, we're gonna lift the foot or leg and lower. Lift and lower. So the foot is nice and flat with the toes pointing forward, as if we're sliding our foot up a wall. We're maintaining this engagement to the side of our waist, breathing in and out. We've got 6, 5, keeping that leg nice and lengthened, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Pressing ourselves back. So you can stack your legs as you press yourself back up onto the elbow, bringing the prop back between the knees, sending the knees back a little bit. So we're gonna go back to the side plank hold and then the dip, but we're gonna add one more thing. So I'll show you from the bottom here. So bringing the weight onto the pelvis, we're gonna take the top hand up. So we're gonna be holding here, and then we're gonna dip down as we did before, come back up, and then we're gonna go for a thread the needle. So reaching this top arm behind you for the back of the mat, swooping in across and up and back into our hold. So you can stay here or you can come up and lifting that lower waistline again up away from the floor. So we're going into our dip down, so straight down to the floor and then up, and then threading the arm underneath and back, reaching up to the ceiling, and we're back into our holds. Breathing here. So as you reach your fingertips up to the ceiling, you're lifting this waistline up. We're going into our dip and up, and then threading that arm underneath, pressing the hips forward as we do so, and back into the hold. So we've got one more here. You can always look down at your forearm if you're feeling a lot through your neck. And going into our dip and lift, and then threading the arm and rotating the body, coming forward and down. All right, we're gonna stay on the elbow if we can. So we're gonna go back to that inner thigh exercise, but in this position. So bringing the prop forward, bringing the top knee on top. Knee is still in line with your hip, extending that bottom leg. If you need to, you can do this down on your side as we did before. So before we start lifting that leg, again, extending it fully, toes pointing forward, bringing your weight on to your pelvis, so off the shoulder. This one is you're gonna see there's only a small lift here for most people, and then lower. But that's okay, any lift here is fine. What we're trying to do is maintain our lifted position through the trunk as we lift the leg, rather than as we lift the leg, we collapse down. So the leg might come up higher, but then we've lost our form. All right, so let's keep going here. Breathing in and out. So keep lengthening that leg for 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one. Amazing. All right, let's come off that side. We're gonna go straight to the other side. So onto the other elbow. legs are going to be stacked, and the cushion or ball towel is going to go between your knees. Send those knees back a little bit. You can take the hand to the pelvis. So let's guide the pelvis towards the feet. So we find our nice lengthened position, breathing in. Remember, you can stay here or you can come up breathing out. So first part is our hold, connecting the ribs to the pelvis here, finding the breath. Then we're going to find our dip. So it's like we're stretching this bottom side, coming back up into our hold. We want to feel like the shoulders, the hips, and the knees are all in the more or less the same line. Let's take another dip down and up. So hopefully you can feel this engagement of the lower waistline, so our abdominals there on the bottom side. We're taking one more dip, lifting up, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. All right. So coming all the way down, supporting your head with your bottom arm, taking the prop forward, taking your top knee. Shin can be in line with the mat, extending, really extending that bottom leg. And then again, finding this engagement. Maybe there's a lift here of the bottom waist away from the floor. And if there's not a lift, it's okay, but we want to feel like we're engaging rather than staying collapsed so that we can lengthen this top side. All right, so let's lift that bottom leg and lower. Sliding that foot up the imaginary wall. Feeling those inner thighs engaging. In this position, we also have a nice straight line, shoulders, hips, knee, and foot. And we've got 6, 5. This lower waistline idea is something we have to keep checking into as we do an exercise like this, because it's very likely we'll collapse back down and kind of scrunch back up top. So keep checking in on it. Last one. And then we can stack the legs again. We're going to press ourselves up and take that prop between the knees, send those knees back. Again, you can stay here or with the hips down, or you can come up with me. So first part is the hold. We'll take the top arm up. So as a reminder, so we'll do the dip and then we'll come back up and we'll do the threading of the arm to the back of the mat. So going into our first dip, whether your hips are up or down, lifting up and then reaching back. So you're twisting through your trunk, but keeping your hips facing forward, reaching back up for the hold. Good opportunity to find the breath or feel the breath. Going into our next dip, so lengthening out that bottom side, coming up, and then going into our reach. Looking to the back, looking forward to come back up. Just a reminder, you can look down at your forearm to help the neck. dipping down and up and threading to the back. One more hold here. Actively engaging those oblique muscles at the bottom side. Dipping down and up, reaching back, coming forward and down. All right, so just like on the other side, we're going to come into that inner thigh exercise position. So knee forward in line with the hip onto your prop, extending the bottom leg. And you can also do this on your side if you need to, but if your shoulder feels okay here, I encourage you to give this position a try. So finding this, even though we're not on the floor, finding this lift, this engagement, bringing the ribs and the pelvis closer together on the bottom side, keeping that connection as we lift the leg and lower. Again, it's most likely not going to be a big lift unless we're compensating with the body. So keep that body lifted, especially through the side, as the leg comes up. Finding that breath. We've got 5, 4. Keep reaching through your foot to lengthen out. 3, 2, and 1. All right. We're coming back onto the back to finish. We'll take our prop with us. So the prop's going to go between the ankles now. You may want to put it there before you lay down. And then you can come back onto your back. Once we get down onto the back, we're going to find our imprint. So bringing the lower back in contact with the floor. Arms can rest at the sides for a moment. Squeezing that prop as you bring your legs up to tabletop. So knees over the hips, shins parallel to the floor. And we're actually going to go into a knee open position. Heels together, knees apart. So I'm going to show you from the front here. So in the imprint, heels together, toes apart, knees out wide. So frog kind of position here. So give me a second to get back here. All right. So let's bring the hands actually no, sorry, I'm jumping ahead again. So in that imprint, we're going to start with the inner thigh exercise. So we're just going to bring the knees into the center and then open out again. So knees together, knees apart, while we keep this prop between our heels as best as we can. When the knees come in, try to have them over the hips rather than over your stomach. So have some space here between the knees and your chest. Breathing in, breathing out. We've got 5. Opening the knees, closing. 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to open back out. So back to that starting position. So heels together, toes apart, knees open. Now we're going to bring the hands behind the head. Breathing in, we're going to lift up. Breathing out, send the legs out forward. Bring them back to frog. Bring your head and shoulders down. Lower your heels towards the floor or the prop, however close you can get your heels to touch. Come back to that frog position. Breathing in, head and shoulders lift. Exhale, we send the legs forward. So toes are apart, knees together. We're back to that frog position. Lower the head and shoulders. And then slowly lowering the heels down towards the floor and back up. We curl up. So here the inner thighs come together and then apart for that frog position again. And as we lower, we're keeping our lower back connected to the ground. Breathing in, breathing out to stretch, breathing in to center, out to lower, in to lower the legs, and then out to lift. So keep going at your own pace. Try to pick a diagonal that's challenging for you. So going low enough that you feel the challenge, but not so low that you feel your lower back really coming off the ground. Take your time, trying to work those lower abdominals here if you haven't felt it already. We're going to do a couple more rounds. Really getting those head and shoulders, or that head and shoulders off the ground. Staying in control as you lower your heels. And let's go for one more round. And we can bring the knees in. We can take the prop for a moment and just take a breather here. If you're doing this on a really hot day like me, maybe you're sweating as well. So we're going to do one more exercise together. So we're going to bring the prop back between the ankles, but this time we're going to keep the legs parallel. So let's actually find our imprint here at the bottom again. And we'll take the arms out to about a T position, squeezing that prop as we bring the legs up. And then slowly we're going to roll to the left, so onto our left glute, left side of the pelvis. From here, we're going to stretch the legs out on a diagonal. So off the side of the mat here to the bottom of the mat, coming back to tabletop, and then through center across to the other side. So onto your right glute, right side of the pelvis. Stretch the legs forward, back to tabletop, and then back through center. So let's try that exact one again. So inhale to this, rolling to the side, exhale, stretch, inhale, tabletop, and then exhale, center, straight to the other side. Breathing in, breathing out, in and out. So you can continue like that, or I'm going to add an addition if you want to take it. So it starts the same way. We reach, and then from here we keep the legs extended as we bring them across to the other side. Once you're on your right glute, right side of the pelvis, back to tabletop, and then back through center. So if you're doing that one, we'll go one more time to the left here. Reach those legs forward. Bring them through center. And then bring them back to tabletop and center. So if you're doing that version, we're going to go to the other side. Otherwise, you can continue with the first version. So breathing in to the right. Breathing out to stretch. And see if you can keep your legs low, whatever low means to you, as you bring them across, tabletop, and center. All right, one more here. Over to the right. We reach. We come across center. We find tabletop, and then we find center. We can take the prop out, maybe give the knees a hug into the chest. Breathing in, allowing everything to soften as you breathe out. Well, let's start to draw circles with the hips again. So you can grab one just below one knee on each side or underneath the knees. And we'll draw sort of mirroring circles with the help of our arms. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in and out. And we'll switch directions. Last one. One more breath in here at center. Allowing your body to melt into the floor, or maybe you're already melting like me as you exhale. Let's bring one foot down at a time, extending the legs. And we'll just let the hips open here for a moment. So taking another deeper breath in. A nice long exhale. And let's do that one more time. Really letting go, particularly around your hips. All right, so we'll conclude the class here so you can bend your knees, roll to one side and press yourself up. I'll just say if you really feel your hip flexors after those exercises, take a moment to do some stretching, some opening up through your hips. All right, I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you again in another class soon.